Hello, all of you wonderful people out there in podcast land. Welcome to the Noise Brigade. I'm Bobby. He's Tom. And today we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of crap, but mostly revolving around video games.
Yes, sir. We wanted to hit Nintendo Direct, the September announcements there. Not everything, but we'll dive into a bulk of it. Something you texted me about earlier this week that I was completely unaware of, the Evercade. I think we'll get into that. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Some more discussion on Arcade One Up, and I threw a little note in on some Legends Pinball since that seems to be a new Christmas type item this year. We'll see how that is. And then you remember how you ran it a couple weeks ago about our beloved Eagles?
Yeah.
I'm going to rant too, but I'm going to try to keep it clean.
Okay.
So I've got some information on the PS5 and what I think of the next gen systems.
All right, perfect. Listen, I'm more than likely going to agree 100% with you on that. And hey, as long as the blood incantations and dark magic that I've used to get Zoom running on my computer right now holds up, I think we're gonna have a good show.
I agree, man. Do you want to just dive right into this one? What do we want to hit first?
Oh, let's do it, man. Let's start off with since we're like a month late. Let's start off with the Nintendo Direct. Um, and let me preface it with this. So, did you know that the controllers went on sale?
They did?
Yeah, that was my response too. So, one of the big things that was announced for at the Nintendo Direct was that they're going to do an expansion to the Nintendo Online service, and it's going to include Genesis and Nintendo 64 games. Um, and I'm just seeing now for the first time the pricing that you put in here that got released. Now we were thinking maybe like a $10 bump across the board for the single and family, and we were way off,
We
man.
were wrong. Yeah, our initial thought was, it's going to be a 10 for the single and a $15 raise on the family. And I thought, and it's funny too, because I saw the article and it was like, yeah, $49.99. I was like, oh, we hit this right on the head. And no, $49.99 for the single and $79.99 for the family plan.
I gotta say, I'm not, as somebody who has a Genesis and a Nintendo 64, I'm not certain that I'm paying for this.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have both myself, but I don't hardly have any games anymore. I'll pay it, um, kind of a grin and bear it. But man, we missed the mark on the pricing. And the one thing I will say though, and I read this, it does include the for all you Animal Crossing fans out there, the Happy Home Paradise DLC, which I am thinking is going to be maybe akin to a point to the Happy Home Designer. What was that, a 3DS game, I believe?
Yeah, that was a 3DS game. Now you're gonna have to elaborate on this part because I know nothing about. I did not read the article. I don't know anything about this. So
Yeah, so the expansion pack, the pricing increase, it's weird. So you have this like massive increase in pricing for the year anyway. So $50 for the single and $80 for the family plan, which you and I talked about already, and we thought, okay, it's going to be a lot less than that. Well, that apparently also, if you have Animal Crossing, it also when I say that the New Horizons for the Switch, it comes with this Happy Home Paradise DLC, which I believe there's a price point on this DLC of like $25. I think this part I wasn't entirely sure of, but it does come with this. So that's kind of a little added bonus, I guess, for the first year. Is that, let's say, let's do pretend that this does cost $25, then that kind of knocks some of that out if you're that big of a fan and obviously are into grabbing that DLC for the game. So that's something. I don't know.
yeah, I guess it is something. I just kind of wish there was some kind of option to not bundle that because I played the heck out of Animal Crossing New Horizons when it first came out. Um, but I haven't played since like June of last year, July of last year.
Yeah.
I
I
fell off fairly early in the run on that.
yeah, I only kind of piqued my interest because again, I'm making some grand assumptions here that this is similar to the 3DS game, which my daughter was absolutely in love with. So if that's the case, then it'll work out for me for the first year. That said, though, if it's going to be that same price, or you and I both know that it's not like the pricing ever goes down.
No.
These things will go up. So, what's it look like in year two and year three? Remains to be seen. So, are they going to be like, oh, if you're paying this expansion pack, do you get a DLC for the particular game every year, or
Right.
how does that work?
Yeah, I would hope that there's other stuff during the year that comes out that maybe you would get, like some other DLC that would come out. Like I quite honestly, what I would have loved to have seen is like, oh, you have your choice of like the Luigi's Mansion DLC or one of the DLC packs for Smash, or you can get I think what other games. I guess really the only other game would be like Zelda or this, where you can pick the DLC that you get. Um,
Yeah. No, I could see that. And then, even to that point, or like, hey, if you're not interested in this, we're going to credit you X amount of points in the store, toward a
right.
purchase or something. I don't know. I'm not happy with the pricing at all. But at the end of the day, family plan, I'm going to pay it just because, at least for the first year.
Right.
Um, if I find enough use out of the Genesis and N64 part of it, then I'll kind of look at it then. But yeah, I think that's a bit high comparative to what they have now.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're adding a ton. It's be a different story if it's like, oh, we're adding these 50 games for this Genesis, and we're adding these 50 games for this, and adding maybe extra games for the NES and Super Nintendo. But that's not happening. So
No. And honestly, I mean, shoot, at those price points, I'm kind of the mindset that it should include one of the controllers. Um,
yeah, no doubt. And yeah, so hit me up here. They're already on sale. What's this about?
So yeah, I was on Facebook and I saw posts from 10 hours ago that had said, "Hey, get your N64 controllers now." So of course I clicked on it to see like, oh, okay, it's on sale. All right, let's see. And it's sold out. So the N64 controllers are sold out. The Genesis controllers are available. I did pre-order. I actually finally got my NES and one single SNES controller um, from them, and I needed a Wii U gamepad charger too, so I ordered that. So I ended up ordering the Genesis controller, the NES pack, the single Super Nintendo controller, and then that all on the website today. But yeah, the N64 controller is technically available, but it's not because it's sold out. It does have built-in rumble,
Oh,
so
nice,
we
nice. So you
requested
don't, yeah,
that.
you don't have to slap the rumble pack in.
Right, no rumble packs. I'm assuming that means no memory cards either, but that also knocks out the Game Boy Transfer pack. So if you're trying to play Pokemon Stadium, anybody who wanted to play Pokemon Stadium is kind of bummed a little bit right now, but um, we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, so they're for sale, and I, I don't know, man. I'm kind of boy, I'm kind of questioning buying the Genesis controller now because I like you. I'll probably buy it. I'll probably play it this year, or pay for it this year. But I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's tough. It's tough. That sucks. At the I'm actually just looking at that now. Yeah, the 64 one's out of stock. They do have the Genesis as we're recording this, but yeah, that's a tough get, man. The Genesis, just something as simple as throwing it in the shopping cart for shipping and taxes, $60.
Right, and it's
That's
not even the freaking 6-button controller,
no, no.
and
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
that's probably what pisses me off. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest right now. I am that douchebag. I'm not going to use that Genesis controller. I'm 100% not going to use that Genesis controller. That Genesis controller is going to go into the dungeon, aka my closet, with all of my still in the box Funko Pops, and it's going to sit in there. And the legendary or whatever the special edition of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, um, all the game stuff that I get that I hoard, and it's going to just sit in the closet until I'm like, you know what, I think it's gotten as high price as it's going to get, and then I'm going to sell it, and I'm not going to use it. I'm not, because
Yeah, yeah.
to me, to play Genesis games when I have a literal actual Genesis with 6-button controllers sitting on my on my entertainment center, why would I play with an inferior controller?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're not wrong at all. You know, I will say this. I think it's a really cool way to introduce new generations to these systems that we grew up with. Particularly if you're looking at people that maybe like me who never kept everything. I have some things, but I didn't keep everything. So maybe, yeah, I do have a Genesis and I do have a 64, but I have hardly any software. So it makes it really difficult to, stomach me going to buy, especially some 64 games
Right.
that are like just ridiculous pricing for me. So if I just want to throw a service out, I get it. It's interesting. I think it's cool that they're throwing it out there. They're kind of preserving their past, and they're exposing new generations to some really cool titles. Let's not be wrong there. They're throwing some neat things out there, but the price point's weird. The controllers are a bit overpriced. Like I completely agree. The 6-button Genesis was a must. I don't know. I I love it, and yet I don't love it at the same time.
Well, and here's what pisses me off, and maybe I'm wrong, but I had heard a rumor, and this is easily verifiable, and I probably should have done that before I even started talking. But I heard that the Japanese, much like with the Japanese Genesis Mini, the Nintendo of Japan, their Nintendo Online, when you order the Genesis controller, it's the 6-button controller.
Of course it is.
So, for those of you who don't know, so the Genesis Classic or Genesis Mini, whatever you want to call it, when it came out in America, it came with the 3-button controller, but in Japan, it shipped with the 6-button controller.
Of course, yeah. Why, you know, I don't know. It's funny. All right, so let's enough about the expansion pack.
Oh no, I
Let's.
got one more thing. I got one more thing.
Oh, okay.
So this is a little off topic, but dealing with the Genesis Mini. So did you see with the Genesis Mini, and maybe this is why they got the 6-button and we only got the 3? Did you see that you could buy a tiny non-functioning Sega CD and a tiny non-functioning 32X to plug into them?
I did not.
Yes,
That's
you can do that. And also in Japan, they released a Game Gear Mini or Game Gear Micro, I think they called it. And it is literally like maybe a little bit bigger than our thumbs.
I did see that. Yeah, it's like, yeah, super tiny. I have seen that. That was
Yeah.
I came out what, last year, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it came out last year, and they released 4 different colorways, and each colorway had different games on it, including there was one that had a couple Shining Force games on it. And here's the kicker. So remember when we had Game Boys and Game Gears, and they had those magnifying lenses that would go on the screens to make it so you could actually read it?
Yeah.
So if you buy all 4 of the Game Gear minis or whatever they're called for, I think it comes out to $200 total, they'll give you the little thing that increases the screen, like the little magnifier. They'll give that to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know that I would buy all 4.
No, no, hell no. No, 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 no. But I just thought that was kind of funny that, hey, spend $200 on our little tiny systems and we'll give you something that makes them actually playable.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Let's see, what are they? Is that what are they, $50 a piece?
Yeah, I think they were like $50 a piece, something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, the conversion's about $43 a piece. So yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of going back on all that. Like I said, it's cool to kind of bring out these things again, kind of get the new generation looking at some of these titles. You know, again, I had really high hopes for the NES Online and the Super Nintendo Online, and I do play certain things extensively on both at times, not every day.
Right.
But I get my dollar's worth is like out of Tetris 99, personally. So that is a game that I probably, if I don't play it every day, it's pretty darn close. So, um, you know, it is what it is. You got anything else in the expansion pack, or do you want to
No.
dive into some of these other
Let's
things?
move on now. Sorry, I just I had to get that out because I just find it completely amusing that I mean, now that's not to say that I wouldn't buy those things if they were released in the states, because I probably would, because I'm a garbage human. Uh, but yeah, like it's just funny to me. Like, I guess it would depend on the price too, because I'm not spending $50 on a non-functioning Sega CD or 32X. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry.
All good. All right. So we have a title here that is pretty cool coming out for the Switch, Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yeah, Grand Theft
And
Kirby.
yeah, spring of 2022. Good old 3D platformer here this time with the lovable pink fluff ball. But this was pretty cool. I think the thing that really piqued my interest about this was Kirby kind of goes on a little adventure here through, kind of a mysterious, you know, area, world, whatever, if you will. And like, there's just like things that are abandoned, and I don't know, it's pretty neat. Watching some of the trailer work and looking at some of the pictures and the screen grabs and whatnot. Yeah, it's really, I don't know, it's kind of a cool looking game.
Yeah, I'm on board, man. I think that they should have leaned a little bit more into the post-apocalyptic theme that it seems like they're going with, and they should have made it like Kirby Mad Max style. Um, and they should have had him strapped onto the front of a car playing a guitar. And no, I mean, honestly though, no, it looks really cool. It looks like it does kind of remind me though of like Kirby and the Rapture. um, I think that
Hmm.
could have been an alternate title, because everybody just like poofed and disappeared, and there's just stuff left all over the place. But it looks really cool. I'm really looking forward to it. I do like some Kirby games. Um, God, I have too many Kirby games on my shelf. But I do really enjoy Kirby, going all the way back to the original Game Boy game, and I just so I'm super looking forward to this. And it's definitely something I'll play with Peyton, and he'll love it too. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a day one or close to it purchase for me. Tommy loves the Kirby games, and I've gotten more of an appreciation for them, oddly enough, as I've gotten older. I never really cared for them too much when I was younger. I don't know why. I just wasn't into them. But as I've gotten older and going back and playing some of the older ones, I've really gotten to like them more and more as time goes on. It's very, very, very solid series. Um, Before we talk about the Mario movie, another game that was announced, and we won't talk about every game that was announced, just a couple notes here. But Chocobo GP, which this one looked cool.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so we have a racer here that's a spinoff of Final Fantasy, and again, I say that it probably won't be an immediate buy, but it will.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely, dude. I like. I'm definitely getting that one. That'll be another one that Peyton and I'll play. So, oh man, I have some beans to spill, but I don't want to, because I don't know if he's going to listen to this or not. Um, Now let's be honest, he's not listening. So I got him for Christmas the Hori Pro steering wheel set
Ooh, nice.
for the Switch, because we've been playing a lot of, obviously he plays Mario Kart. We have Crash Team Racing, and we have recent release Cruise and Blast, which, if you're not familiar, it's part of the Cruising series. It's out in the arcades. It's been out in the arcades for years now, but they released this updated home version with a bunch of new stuff, and like we've been playing that, and it's been super fun. But dude, he's gonna lose his little mind when he gets to play it with an actual steering wheel and gas pedals and stuff at home.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and I just saw, yeah, Cruising Blast for the Switch. Sweet.
Dude, and it's only $40.
Cool. Yeah, I have to think
Highly
that's it.
recommend it. There's a bunch of different stuff, and like Tommy will love it because, and kids in general will love it because you not only have like your standard vehicles, like you had in all the cruising games where you can unlock like fire trucks and police cars and helicopters and ATVs and stuff, but he's unlocked a shark, he's unlocked a unicorn, and he's unlocked a dinosaur.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to get this one.
So while we're on
That's
the
awesome.
topic of games that came out recently that are awesome, I do have to warn people about a game that I thought was going to be super awesome, but kind of sucks. Um, and that's going to be the Nickelodeon All Star Brawl.
So not any good.
I didn't really dig it. We were playing, so on my birthday, a couple of my friends came over, and so Eddie, Sarah, myself, and Peyton were playing, and dude, it's just not. I had such high hopes for it, and it's not terrible, but wait till it's like $20, $15 before you get it.
I will.
It's
Yeah, that was one of those games that wasn't on my radar anyway. Um, but the character base looks really cool.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
what sucks is like they have these great characters, and there's you can be Ninja Turtles, you can be um Reptar for Rugrats, you can be Invader Zim, which is one of my favorite Disney, one of my favorite Nickelodeon characters of all time. Danny Phantom, um, Ren and Stimpy. You've got Powdered Toast Man. You've got all these great characters, and they didn't use any of the voices.
ooh,
And
that's
not
not
only,
good.
yeah, not only did they not use any of the voices, they didn't use any of the music from any of the shows either.
Ooh, what?
So
How do you do
I don't
that?
know, man. And that's what drove me crazy because we're playing it and I'm like expecting to hear oofs and like just any kind of like audible sounds from the characters themselves. And there was none.
So SpongeBob is not SpongeBob.
No, no. So SpongeBob is SpongeBob, but he just doesn't talk. Same with Patrick Star and any other character in the game.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. Not and not like I said, that wasn't on my list of things to check out. My God, that definitely sounds like a skip.
Now here's what's crazy too. The mechanics of the game, really good. It's a mechanically sound fighting game. Um, there's a couple levels that are just complete and utter BS because they're like moving platforms that you you have to jump from platform to platform, and you're more concerned with jumping from platform to platform than you are with fighting, and you just die because it's a terrible level. But everything about it is set up to be a great fighting game except for it's just so bland, and I'm hoping that they release some patches and stuff that fixes all that stuff because word is they're talking about getting Dragon Ball Z characters, which is something that we've wanted in Smash Brothers forever, but they're talking about Goku as being the first DLC character for this game, but I can't see it lasting long enough to make it worth it putting him in.
Yeah, that's wild. It's crazy because just looking at the, obviously everyone knows the absolute insane cast of characters that Nickelodeon has to offer, and I'm not even just talking about what you said, the Turtles and SpongeBob and all that, but if you include anything like Dragon Ball Z, the fan base alone for that, ah, yeah, and it's a shame the game's not that great because I mean that could be a number one seller for a year.
Right.
uh, yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, that wasn't on my radar. Uh, it's a shame from what you're saying about it. With the lack of audio as far as the voicing and the music, and the fact that it does seem to be a solid game. That bums me out because like that could be a winner all the way across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what sucks is there's so much to like about it, but then just the intangible, the stuff that would push it over the edge into being a great game, just it's not there.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But speaking of voicing and
Yes,
character work and such, um, the next note we have on here is the Mario movie.
yes. And you texted me whenever this was announced back at the end of September, and all you said was Charlie Day as Luigi in all caps, and I was like, "What?" Like it threw me that off. Like I was so blown off course because I thought immediately in my head I was like, "Oh, there's got to be some goof on YouTube or something." That there's some, you know what I mean? Like I'd never even put it together in my head that that was the day of the direct announcement and that there was a movie coming out. And lo and behold, he's the voice of Luigi.
Right. And so it's not just the casting is all over the place. And I think it's gonna turn out to be a good movie. It's done by Illumination, who is the company behind the Minions movies and Despicable Me, and countless other, CGI Pixar-esque movies. Um, but let's run down real quick. So we have Mario is going to be played by Chris Pratt. Obviously, Luigi is going to be Charlie Day, which super excited about that. Jack Black is Bowser. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. Keegan Michael Key is Toad. Fred Armisen is Cranky Kong. Now, for those of you who don't know Cranky Kong, so the original Donkey Kong, the way that the timeline works, I guess, with the Mario games, the original Donkey Kong starred Cranky Kong, and the Donkey Kong that is in um, Donkey Kong Country and all of the Mario Karts and Mario parties and all that stuff is actually Donkey Kong Jr. all grown up. So, which makes sense since Donkey Kong, it was actually, and people always remember this wrong, but it was actually Donkey Kong Jr. in Mario Kart. It wasn't Donkey Kong.
Right. Yep. Yep. DK Jr. Yep.
So,
That's you're spot on, and it's a great little history lesson in the sense that there's not a lot of people that follow that, so that's I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that's like, you know uh from a historical perspective in video games, it's nice to know that, so
yeah.
but yeah, this cast is awesome, man. I love it. I'm such a huge fan of all these people, and just from their different works, different movies. I mean, yeah, and even I say Toad is a pretty major character, and he what is he down 1 2 3, and we didn't even talk about like any of the other people that are ahead of Toad. He's pretty far down there as far as credits are concerned. But we're talking Keegan Michael Key, that from Key and Peele, people, like,
Right.
come on, it's so awesome.
Exactly. And Anya Joy Taylor is Princess Peach. She was in the New Mutants, and I apologize, I don't know anything else she was really in, but um, she played Ilyana Rasputin. If I can talk, jeez, man, what the heck happened to my head? She played Ilyana Rasputin, who is known as Magic in the New Mutants, and she was like the main character. She's an incredible, which let's hope that that's one of the casting choices that they carry over into the MCU when they bring mutants over, because I think she's fantastic choice for that. And Magic is one of the most incredibly powerful mutants in the Marvel universe. So I'd love to see her get a chance to spread her wings, so to speak, in that role. Anyway, but I digress. So I think this movie is going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. I like the casting a lot, especially how they kind of went all over the place. They said that Charles Martinet, who does the voice of Mario in the movies or in the games, rather, um, he'll be doing some surprise voice cameos throughout the movie. Um, what was the other? Sebastian Maniscalco
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the Foreman Spike, who um, a lot of people don't know, but one of Mario's first games was Wrecking Crew, where you had to wreck buildings, and Foreman Spike was like the enemy, I guess, for lack of better terms. So one of they're getting really obscure with some of the references, and that makes me feel good about it. So
Yeah, I think there's going to be so many cool Easter eggs in this movie, just from the sense of I can imagine um, just the different the different power ups, the different things, and over the years of all the, I'm almost certain that you played Super Mario Odyssey, right?
yes, I'm actually in the process of playing that now.
So you know how they switch at times to the old school like 86 Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, like they switch to that two-dimensional and the graphics change.
Yeah.
That I could see things like that happen in the movie. And I just I love stuff like that where they incorporate everything, and really looking forward to it. And I think that's just it has home run written all over it.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm super excited. Um should be very interesting. So,
Yeah, and it's funny. I remember seeing Super Mario Brothers, the live action one that came out in '93 in the theater, and I saw an article, um, something to the effect of John Leguizamo was upset with the casting or something, and
yeah.
and it's like,
Yes, he was.
yeah, buddy, your time has passed. Like,
Well,
yeah,
and that's what kills me is John Leguizamo. It's not like he faded away into obscurity. He's actually won a bunch of awards recently for his acting in different roles. And to say, "Oh, this series was whitewashed." They're cartoons. They're freaking cartoons.
yeah. He's I'm still, he's obviously not in a. I've always liked some of his work, especially a lot of the, he's been in on and off in some of the gangster type movies and whatnot over the years. But and the Super Mario live action movies is pretty odd, but it's not terrible. I've seen a lot
Uh,
worse.
I don't know, man. I all I can think of when I think of that movie, the first thing that pops in my head every single time is the damn Goomba. The
Yeah,
goofiest little head.
yeah, it's because and you have that movie as more of a futuristic look at it, and it's weird. It's very typical '90s crap. Um, but again, that has an interesting cast too with some of the people that are in it, not just him. But the movie itself isn't terrible. I mean, it's not anything that I go out of my way to watch all the time. But the thing that I thought, and I think about all the time, and previous to that, and going back and as soon as I heard that, they're making a cartoon movie, animated movie. I'm sorry for being offensive to the word animated, cartoon, whatever. Um, the actual TV show, the Super Show,
Yeah.
that had the splices with the cartoons and Captain Lou and all that, and it's like, man, I really wish he was around still just to throw a voice in there, because how cool would that be?
Oh, dude, yeah, both of them. God, I hate myself for forgetting his name, the guy that played Luigi, but he passed a couple years ago. Um,
Yeah, wasn't that long ago.
and it would
Yeah,
have
who
been
was that
so
guy's
cool
name?
to see him. Um,
Yeah,
oh
Danny Wells is the guy.
yeah, Danny
He
Wells.
was 72. God, he died in 13.
Oh wow. So Danny Wells and Captain Lou Albano, to have the two of them make some kind of way. I wish they would have been around. I wish they could have stuck around for that because I mean, I still that those experience like seeing that show was my first real experience with the with live action for a cart or for a video game. And man, it left an indelible mark. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why I bring it up, because to me, that was, we were kids when that hit. So I mean, I just really have really fond memories of that. So of course my mind flooded back the minute I heard this movie was coming out. This is what I remember. And I just hope that there's some kind of just little, even teensy bins, eensy small little part of it is a nice Easter egg to those
Yeah.
guys.
And you know what? You know what's funny? I've gone back and watched some of those with Peyton, and some of the stuff is still pretty funny.
It is,
Like
yeah.
it
It's
holds up.
yeah, and it's out there. That show's really
Oh
weird,
yeah.
but it's like watching a public access show that had a little bit of a budget.
Right. Honestly, I thought it was a Philly thing. I didn't realize until I was a little bit older that other people outside of the Philly area saw it. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
that's
was a little.
that's the look of it. And
Yep.
so like I still growing up, like I thought, oh man, this is ours. I thought this is a Philly and South Jersey thing. Nobody else has this. So I kind of took ownership of it, you know? And so it'll always hold a place in my heart. And again, no, was it the best? Did it have the best production values? Was it the best? This was that? No, it wasn't at all. But it was enough to make me. It was enough to leave a mark, and I'll always remember watching it. And I'm forever grateful to Captain Lou Albano and Danny Wells for bringing Mario and Luigi to life when we were young.
Exactly. Amen. Amen. All right, so we've hit Nintendo pretty hard. Let's go on to our next thing here. You texted me about this earlier this week, and man, this is really cool. Let's talk about this. What do you have on the Evercade VS Retro Home Console?
So the Evercade, it started off as a handheld, and it was a handheld that you could buy little cartridges for. Um, and the cartridges were by different companies. So there's a Midway one, a Namco one. There's Codemasters. There's Worms. There's Technos Japan. And I could go on and on. Name Interplay. There's all these different companies put out these cartridges, and they've got a lot of games on them for the most part. The Worms one has 3 games. I think it's Worms Blast, Worms Armageddon, and the original Worms. Um, and it's basically a throwback system. So originally the Evercade, like I said, was a handheld, and you could plug it into your TV, and you could play on your TV, or you could play on just like the little handheld console. And that was kind of cool. But then they announced the Evercade Versus, and this is super cool because this is a home console version, and it's only $20 more than the handheld was. And not only is it a full-fledged home console, it's got a bevy of features. It's got save states. It's got filters for like if you want to do scan lines. It's got all kinds of cool stuff that you find on all the emulators now. It's got 4 controller ports. It utilizes USB. So any kind of USB controller you have, you can use with it. And it's outstanding. And it uses all the same cartridges as the Evercade handheld. It comes with 2, I want to say Technos, and I forget what other one, but it's a pretty awesome system. And I'm definitely looking forward to it because I looked into the Evercade, the handheld, but I just didn't pull the trigger because honestly, I don't even play my Switch in handheld unless I'm on an airplane, and I don't really
Right.
travel that much right now. Um, so that kind of made me think, whatever, I'm not worried about this. But then when I found out they were doing a home console, now you've got me.
Yeah, no kid, man. You sent me and I was looking through, and then all of a sudden, Worms Armageddon, and I'm in it. This really cool. And you made a comment here. The games are relatively inexpensive too. Now we're talking about obviously games that have been out for a long time,
Right.
but they're really affordable, and it's actually having a physical game on a cartridge, or games, if you will. And the system itself is a good price point.
Yeah.
It's not very expensive, and yeah, like you said, it's very compatible. This thing, if I'm not mistaken, is based out of the UK.
Yes.
So
In
it
the UK. And honestly, and this is the stupidest thing ever, but I'm a sucker for aesthetics and I'm a sucker for physical media. These things come in boxes that are similar to the old Genesis cartridges. They have nice displays on the spine of what it is, what volume it is. All of the cases are numbered. And it's just it's incredible. It's like they were making this thing for me. Um, is the only way I could say it. The only way it would be better is if it had some kind of I don't know. Could it make like tacos for me? Like,
yeah.
but it's 120 bucks, and the cartridges are between 20 and $40. I've seen, and most of them are normally between 20 and 30. I've seen a couple that are 40, and I feel like they're just marked up. But dude, you can't beat it.
No, no, and yeah, you going back. It's $129 with the and again, that's a pre-order price that comes out, I believe, in December. But that's Technos and Data East. And
Okay.
just to kind of refresh everyone's minds, Data East was known for probably one of the world's most famous games that's included on this, Burger Time. um, so it's really cool. Like they have all these really ultra classic games. And that, and here's a great thing: Evercade Technos cart, 8 games; Evercade Data East cart, 10 games. So this pack at 130 bucks comes with 18 games, 2 controllers, the console, and they're the 4-button D-pad controllers, the USB, as you said, and it's a sleek looking little system too. So yeah, I dig it, man. That's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, and let's look at it. You're right. It was, my apology. I thought for whatever reason, I had it in my head it was 120, but yeah, I've got it pre-ordered on Amazon. It was 130 bucks, and the next little note that you've got here talks about the speaking of in television, because there's an Atari. There's actually, oh, by the way, there's an Atari 2600 cartridge for the Evercade, so you can and I'm sure there's going to be in television cartridges, um, because in television is not necessarily what it used to be as far as company wise. Um, and there, so speaking of in television, though, you've got a note here about the Amico.
Yeah, yeah,
And this cartridge, before we even get into those notes, I want to note the difference in price. So the Evercade versus, with its two, cartridge packs of, like you said, 18 games, 2 controllers, sets you back $130. The Amico with 2 controllers and the system is coming in at 250.
yeah. Yep. And here's what's even worse: the cartridges for the Evercade actually are physical copies of the game. So you're not connected to the internet. There's nothing here that says, hey, I can play this completely offline and I'm good to go, right? Because there are times where the internet's out, you're not in a spot where you have it. I just want to slip the card in and I'll play this game.
Right.
That's what you get with the Evercade. The Intellivision, however, and this is very controversial for the developer himself and just whatever, but it was announced over the last several days, that their cards really wouldn't contain physical copies of the game, unlike a cartridge would. Each individual card is actually part of a blockchain, which is cool, great. That's very 2021. But each card doesn't contain the physical copy of the game. All it is just a transferable download code. So you could still sell this off to your friends or whoever, and hey, I've got this XYZ, this many games, if you will. They're just transferable codes. The game's not actually there. Yeah, what if this thing fails?
Right. I mean, look, whether however you feel about Tommy Tallarico is a separate issue. I'm not a huge fan, but whatever. I wanted this to I wanted the Amico to succeed because more competition and more different ways to play games is always better for everyone. But everything that I'm hearing about this system, as I hear more and more and more, makes me want it less and less and less.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool the first announcement that I heard of it. It's like, wow, Tommy Tallarico's doing this. This is cool. I'm in it. And then that's where the buck stopped. Because then, and again, we won't get into it, but then he gets into his stuff over the last couple of years. And then you start hearing different things and delays and whatever. And granted, COVID aside or whatever, we won't get into that part of it, but things just start kind of unraveling for this system.
Right.
And then this announcement that they're just codes off of a card.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. I'm out. I'm out. I want it to do well, and I still want it to do well. I cannot throw my support behind it.
No, I'm definitely not in on that one. The Evercade, I am in on it. And I'm gonna preface this by saying I about I don't know, trying to think when it was. I can tell you what I can tell you right now. 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago now, I took and used a little article that I found and made myself a Raspberry Pi home arcade using just different, I can't even think what the operating system that I was using on it, but it had, not legally, but every Nintendo game, Super Nintendo game, everything, right?
Okay.
And I could plug in any USB controller. And while I own some of the titles, I certainly didn't own 600 of them. But I could pop it into my TV and play it. So I have the wherewithal to build something. I've done it before for really cheap, like $100. and but that took actually having all the ROMs, which is illegal. So I do not
Yeah.
recommend it.
Yeah, we don't
Don't
do
recommend it. No.
you've learned the error of your ways and you no
Yes.
longer participate in that kind of activity.
Right. But I have that wherewithal. However, if I were given the choice between Amico, Evercade, I'm Evercade all day long.
Oh yes.
So I'm definitely in on it. I was sold whenever Worms Armageddon was announced. So.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing is, could I probably get the majority of those games through emulation? Yes, absolutely 100%. Could I find most of them and play them on the NES or the SNES? Yeah, absolutely. I probably could. But I want to support someone who's willing to take who's willing to put out physical media on a system like this to bundle the games together, put them on cartridge collections. Dude, I'm gonna support you, especially if you're doing it for as inexpensively as you are, where it's $20 for a cartridge. Yes, 100%. I'm in. I'm on board. You as long as it functions correctly, which every review I've seen, they said that it runs great. Everything seems legit, seems on the level. You've got me hook, line, and sinker.
Definitely. All right. So let's go on to some just notes about the Arcade One Up, and then we'll touch on Legends Pinball a little bit. There's some new Arcade One Up cabinets, and I believe you have gotten something on this.
Yeah. So we've got obviously we talked about the Simpsons arcade game. The Simpsons arcade game is coming out, and it's going to have Simpsons Bowling as the secondary game on it, which pretty cool. I never played Simpsons Bowling, but I have played the Simpsons arcade game. I love it. I have it luckily. Well, I shouldn't count my chickens because I haven't turned my PS3 on in a while, but I did have it downloaded. The Simpsons arcade game is one of the games I bought on the PlayStation Network, and along with the next game I'm going to talk about. Um, so I have it on my PS3. I can play it. Super cool. I would love to get it. I just can't justify the price point. I think it was like 650 or something like that for basically one game that I know that I love and another game that I may like, may not. But it's cool because it's got the four joysticks, and then it's got the trackball for the bowling in the middle. Super cool. Super it would be awesome to have, especially if I had all the space in the world, but I don't, sadly. Um, so that's coming out. And that'll be out soon, I believe. Also, the X-Men arcade game. So they didn't do the 6-player cabinet because that would be a little bit ridiculous. But they did do a 4-player cabinet. And
Okay.
that's another game that I have on my PS3 that I downloaded, and then they delisted it from the PlayStation Store, just like the Simpsons arcade game. But I have that on my PS3 as well. That game comes with, I want to say, 3 other games on the cabinet. Um, one of them being Captain America and the Avengers, which is an awesome game if you've never played that in the arcade. I'm pretty sure there's a Spider-Man. You know what? Why am I just guessing? Why do I not just go to the website? Uh, we have the technology. I can do this.
Yeah, Google dot com.
So they oh, and that, while I'm scrolling through here, it reminds me, they have come out with a ton of stuff. There's a Star Wars pinball machine, a digital pinball machine. There's the countercades. So they've reduced some of their stuff like NBA Jam. They've turned into a countercade where it's a very small screen and it's only two control sticks, but you can do that. Um, you can get the Ninja Turtles as a countercade, and again, when it's the countercade, it does take it down to 2 control sticks or 2 control setups, and it is a smaller screen, but it's only like $230, if that. Um, they have a Pong, like a countertop Pong. They've released Tron and discs of Tron, as which Richie was talking about. Um, they've got a Marvel pinball, Star Wars pinball, a Polaroid at home instant photo booth, and they've got a miniature. It's called Arcade One Up Junior Pac Man, and it's got big chunky controls for little kid hands. And then they've got the cocktail head to head tables too, which is super awesome. Excuse me. But the one that I wanted to look at is not on this freaking it's not on the screen that I'm looking at.
Of
Oh,
course not.
did you see that they came out with a Ridge Racer one?
Oh, okay. That's a fun game.
Yeah. So the Ridge Racer one, it actually has a steering wheel, and it has the gas pedal and all that stuff. It's got a bunch of different stuff on it. Um, Come on. I don't know why this website is not cooperating with me. Oh, they did. Okay, they did Outrun like that as well. All right, so here we go. So the Simpsons arcade game. So, like I said, the Simpsons arcade game comes with Simpsons Bowling. It's going to be shipping November 30th. It's $700.
Yeah. It's a bit.
Now it does have the light up marquee, and it has the light up, um, control deck, and it comes with a stool, but I can't pay $700 for that. Um, the one that I'm super excited about is Turtles in Time, which that one is only 650. But it's got all the same bells and whistles. Comes with a stool, has the light up control deck, light up marquee, which is pretty cool. Um, Gosh darn it, where is okay, here's the X-Men one. So the X-Men one has X-Men, it's got Captain America and the Avengers, and then it's got Avengers, I believe it's War for the Gems, which was I'm fairly certain. Okay, no, and the Avengers in Galactic Storm. So I'm not familiar with the Avengers in Galactic Storm. Um, I have played the other two. I like them a lot. That would be that's another machine that if I had, infinite money and space, that would be one of the ones that I would have. I would have the NBA Jam, the X-Men, Turtles, and the Simpsons. But one of the best and most lasting things from the X-Men arcade game is welcome to die.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
Magneto says to you, because there was a lot of English in that game. And it's
Yes.
fantastic and I love it. But anyway, I've rambled on that. So um yeah, man, there's a ton of cool stuff coming out. I did sell my X-Men versus Street Fighter machine to facilitate the incoming Turtles machine. Made my heart sad a little bit, but we
Yeah,
do
you gotta do it. You gotta do what you gotta do.
exactly.
The thing I wanted to look at, I'd seen this thing at Sam's Club, and it was interesting. In the spirit of the arcade one-ups and some of the other ventures that have thrown out these arcade cabinets, this Legends pinball, which is put together by AT Games. They put out a home pinball machine, except it's not really a true pinball machine. Where we talked about that to a point with Richie on our retro gaming episodes. This is actually, it has a backlit screen, LCD, 15-inch, but then it has a playing field that's also all LCD. So it doesn't have your mechanical things. It doesn't have the true flippers and the bumpers and the things that you would expect in a pinball machine. It doesn't have any of that. It's just basically like you play pinball on your phone, just a lot bigger and in the shape of a pinball machine.
Like Space Cadet pinball for Windows.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got 22 different arcade pinball games built in. Apparently, it's expandable. It is connected or connectable, so you can have leaderboards. Uh, it's cool in theory, but look, I want a pinball machine, and this isn't it. It looks cool, like as you walk up to it. Looks like about a two-third to three-quarter size pinball machine. It is on, it is a bit smaller, maybe even half. I'm not entirely certain. But then once you get up and look at it, it's like, oh, it's really disappointing because it's just a screen. So
Yeah.
not, and for the price point too, it's not like it's cheap. It'd be one thing if it was like $200.
Right.
It's not. This thing, I want to say, let's see here. Yeah, it's like $600 to $700. So yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's where the digital pinball, from what I gather, is kind of the future. Um, I mean, to the point where even like I said, Arcade One Up has some now. Um, they have some really cool ones, but I just can't. Um, I don't know. I don't know how much I would, how into that I would be.
Yeah. I love pinball, man, and I love actually physical pinball. But if I'm gonna play virtual, digital, whatever, I'll just play my phone.
Right.
Seriously, I mean that's how I feel about it. I mean, because it's no different. It's just, yeah, it's a little bigger and it kind of mimics the pinball experience, but
Right.
that's not the same thing.
I mean, even with and how much did you say the AT Games one was?
They're like $600 to $700. I'm gonna say it
So
was $699 was the price point.
so even if we go to the Arcade One Up ones, which again, it's like a smaller scale, but it's a dedicated machine. The same, it's going to be the same way every time you play it. Whereas the AT Games one, there's different tables you can play. You're looking at $850 for the attack. What is it called? Attack of Mars.
Oh, Attack from Mars.
Attack from Mars, yeah. $850. Same thing for the Star Wars one, $850.
You know what's funny? So the arcade one up must have the Williams licensing, right?
Yes.
So Attack from Mars is the pinball game I play on my phone for
Oh, no
free.
kidding.
Yeah, it's free.
I mean, yeah, I see that, and that's the thing. So they have like a Marvel one too. So they have Star Wars, they have Marvel, they have Attack from Mars, and they're all $850. And I can't see spending that on a virtual pinball machine.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Look, the size and the structure, it's cool. It looks cool. It's a pinball machine, but outside of that, uh, I got nothing.
Right. No, I hear you. And it's kind of where I'm at with it. Like I would love to have a pinball machine, but I want to be able to and I guess it has haptic feedback. It has like all of the, they say, oh, it feels just like a real pinball machine. Yeah, well, does it though? Does it really?
Yeah, look, I want a real skee ball machine too, and you can get a home one for like a couple of grand.
You can get, oh, no, hold on. Hold the phone because as I'm literally holding my phone. Anyway, so you can from Best Buy, there's a single lane you can get for 550, or there's another one that I saw in here too that was a single lane. It doesn't look as cool as the other one, but it's only $320.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I meant from like the actual skee ball people.
Wait, what?
The skee ball, like the actual skee ball, like home skee ball machines.
Yeah.
From the actual skee ball, like the original. I don't know if it's the original, but like the actual skee ball. I don't know, licensed.
Oh.
Yeah, like skee ball.com.
Oh.
I guess that would be like the legitimate ones. Yeah, they do have the home arcades. They think they start a couple of grand. I think that's what that, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Let's see here. Skee ball home arcade games. Well, they have a deluxe. The deluxe one is what would be custom, like with the 100 pointers on the sides.
Right.
That's $2,000.
Holy S.
Yeah. So the actual licensed, legitimate skee ball one, the throw one, the 1908 model, which I'm assuming is the 1908 model because that's when it was originally released in arcade, is $8,000.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
So and there's a premium one too though, which is only 4,500.
Oh, only? Only?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I know that I have, and I'm fairly certain that you have too, but I'm pretty sure that we've owned cars that were cheaper than that skee ball set.
Yeah, actually, the $4,500 one, the first car I got was about $4 more than that. So, yeah.
When I couple years ago when I bought that Mazda that I was driving, that Mazda 6, if I remember correctly, I bought that for $2,000.
Yeah, I mean but that's the funny thing. Like yeah, I just saw the one you texted me. Yeah, and it looks cool, but yeah, I want like one of those legitimate like skee ball ones. Like, yeah, I'm not paying $2,000 for a cheap one.
Speaking of that kind of stuff, because I was just at Dave and Buster's with Peyton the other day, and we play a little skee ball. Did you know that they have like an axe throwing thing like that?
No.
So yeah, dude, Dave and Buster's, they have this thing. I forget what it's called, but you have these rubber headed axes and you throw them at a target, and it's got like these pins that stick out, and I guess the axe wedges itself in with the pins, and then to clear it out, it like sucks the pins back in and it pushes the axe off. and it rolls back on a little like conveyor belt.
Wow, huh, that's different.
Yeah. Don't ask me who won.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. So, um, but dude, so I've got to discuss something with you now. I'm gonna, I had my rant a couple weeks ago about our Eagles. Um, and last night I may have invented some new swear word combinations that no one has ever heard before. But you've got something that's kind of cheesed you off a little bit too, huh?
Yeah. So, all right, look, next generation consoles, PS5, Xbox X or S, whatever, released last year, right? We're talking November of 2020.
Yeah, we're almost to a year.
Yeah, so we're almost at a year from launch. So I have on and off looked to try to acquire PS5, and at times to an Xbox Series X, but not as often as a PS5. I have found more recently that there's quite a bit of availability. It seems at least more availability for the Series S, which obviously is like an avoid like the plague type thing.
Yeah.
um,
So honestly, the only thing that it's good for is, something we've already discussed that we don't partake in because it's illegal. Apparently, you put it in developer mode and it's the best emulation box on the planet. But we don't do that, so we have
no. Yeah, no, we're legit. So,
yes.
all right. So around launch, I had a PS5 in a cart and in a cart online. But this was really early on, and I was all the way up to the point where I could complete my purchase. And I hit that purchase button, and the website just completely crashed. Like, done. And of course, I was like, and it made sense because you had a lot of people on, and it was before Christmas, and it was right around launch, and whatever, blah blah blah. But I finally got back in like maybe 5 minutes later, and I had it in there with like 2 or 3 games, an extra controller, and I get back into my cart, and like the PlayStation 5 itself is just gone. Everything else is in there, but that's just gone. Like they've removed it. So I was kind of bummed about that, but I was like, I get it. And early on, I'm not that lucky, whatever. So then fast forward a couple days, maybe a week or so. Um, I got a text message from someone I work with at like 12:30 at night. And he's like, Kohl's has these things. I just got one. So I hopped on. I got one too. Boom, no problem. The funny thing is, he actually got his. And 2 days later, I get an email saying that my order was canceled due to availability.
Oh
And I
no.
will say, Kohl's, for whatever things they have, they were nice about this. The nice thing about Kohl's is like you make all these purchases, like some other stores, you actually get this store credit back, this Kohl's cash, if you will. And I got $180 worth of it from making this purchase.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was like it was the PS5 with the Spider-Man, an extra controller. It was like a $700 purchase, and so I got like $180 in Kohl's cash. Well, they canceled my order, but they're like, you know what? Keep the Kohl's cash. I was like, okay. So I ended up with a free like air fryer toaster oven that cost about the same price. So yeah, that was kind of cool,
Yeah.
but still bummed out because at that point, that was like basically the last chance I was going to have prior to Christmas of 2020 on getting the PS5. And as you know, availability hasn't gotten any better. And I was upset, but I just kind of dismissed it, whatever. And I looked on and off as the course of this year has gone on, and just no luck, and just really not seeing anything. And you and I have talked about this. Like, I'm not paying $1,000 or $1,200 for something that's half that price.
Right.
It just I'm not. I'm just not about that. Like, yeah, I would like to play it, but I'm not. That's kind of in my mind's where I was at. So we'll fast forward to earlier this week, and this was kind of like my final straw with it all. Was I lived like an hour away from my closest Target, and I happened that day to be going in that same direction. In fact, I was going to my first offsite work training since March of 2020. And as everything obviously to this point has been virtual or on site. And the place I was going to was a mile away from Target. And I just happened to get on Twitter and I saw that Target has disc version PS5s on sale, except that you can buy it online for in-store pickup. You cannot have it shipped. It's like, okay, cool. I got in there and it wasn't 2-3 minutes. I had that sucker purchased. My credit card was charged. I was ready to go. And then I waited and waited. And then I started scratching my head because I was like, every time I've done an online order, especially right around the time the store opens, you basically have a 2-hour window. And I hit the 2.5-hour mark and was like, crap. And I opened my email, and sure enough, I get an email saying that my PS5 is no longer available. And my options were to either A, cancel it, or to look at other stores around me for pickup. And I was just so pissed because it's like I waited all this time, and for the basically third time I had one in the cart, second time I had my credit card charged for one of these things from a third different store, and I had to cancel it again. And this time it took 3 days to get my money back.
Gee.
Yeah, I get the shortages and all that, but I've wasted so much time. I've had now 2 different times where I've had like the Kohl's thing. I can't remember. That took like a week to get my money back. But like I've had 2 different times now where I've had, $700 the first time, and this was like 550 or whatever it was the second time, where I've had money tied up on something that I'm not getting. And it's just not worth my time now at this point, and like I said, I'm not paying double for one. I'm not doing that. And you and I talked about this, like, maybe I play the Switch more than I play anything else anyway. Maybe that's my dedicated console.
Right.
It's so frustrating. It should not be this hard a year after launch. I don't care what circumstances are, because you and I both know what's happening. You have people scalping this to death, and it sucks for people like us because I don't have every time, like all the time in the world to sit there and be like, oh, well, I can't just go wait in line for 2 hours, or I need to register on this website, or I need to order it from some random place I never heard before. I can't do that. I just don't have that kind of time. And apparently not that kind of luck.
Right.
So I
Well,
don't know.
dude, and that's what, we talked about this the other day. And part of the problem is it's not just like your normal scalpers, like your douchebags that just sit there and, oh, I've got a computer program rigged up that every time it goes into stock, it orders 5 of them. It's places like that are considered legitimate. Like so just for instance, I am on the Home Shopping Network website right now. I can get a PlayStation 5 disc version with some Fugazi freaking silicon controller covers, some at a Madden 21, a headset, and a whole bunch of other bullshit that I'm not going to use. I can order that right now, but it's going to cost me $1,200.
Yeah.
And I'm not paying $1,200.
It's insane. Here's a good example, and I'm not going to call this vendor out, the vendor that I primarily use for work. And again, I'm not entirely certain how some of these things work, but they have it listed. Now, granted, it shows that it's back ordered, but the insane thing is that I could actually purchase it using my quote unquote discount group that I'm in for the state. For example, like let's pretend that a projector cost you and me $550. I can get the same projector under that program for $500, right? That's just how that works. I can get a Sony PlayStation 5 right now, disc version. Just take a guess here what it's listed for on their site.
I'm going to say 800.
1541.
Get the hell out of here.
1541 for something that's a third of the price.
That's ridiculous.
And that's I am on a legitimate government vendor website right now. Like that's a very well-known vendor, and yeah, that's the garbage that I see day in and day out, and it's insane.
Hey, so real quick, not to interrupt, but I believe we both just got the same text message. So I just wanted to say real quick, even though you probably won't hear it, but congratulations to Mr. Kevin Hollywood on his engagement.
Yes, sir. Congratulations. I know you won't listen to this. Please do. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, congratulations. I am texting you now, Mr. Hollywood. Yeah, that's great. That is great. That's breaking news, everybody.
Breaking news. Breaking news. I wish we had some kind of like, breaking news sounder for that, but
yeah, we'll get there.
We will. We'll get there eventually.
Oh, you know what? That's one of us has to learn like some Michael Winslow type stuff. He's still alive, right? We just
he's dead.
He died?
I'm fairly certain. Wait. Before I say that, I don't want to kill anybody else.
You don't want to Johnny Bench him?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
Oh no, he's still alive.
All right. Good. Listen, good. I'm glad he's still alive. Yes. Hey, keep it up. You're doing a good job living. Keep doing that stuff.
Yeah, he's still alive, 63 years old.
All right. Hopefully he stays alive. Please don't die, Michael Winslow.
Oh man. All right. Well, this has been fun. Yeah, we did a lot of video game stuff here, and yeah, and some other stuff about Michael Winslow and living. Oh yeah. If you're listening to us, you know where to find us. But spread the word. Find us. Tell your friends too. They can find us at doublewidecoffin.com.
That's true. Yes, we do. We've got another plug to make. So we've got a website now, doublewidecoffin.com. So make sure you're going to doublewidecoffin.com to get all your Noise Brigade needs filled. You can't get double wide coffins there. You know what we should do? We should make branded, Noise Brigade branded corn dog butt plugs.
I thought you were gonna say double wide coffins.
No, that's too big, man. Because that's a niche audience. Well, I guess both of them are niche audience. But I feel like the corn dog butt plug has a bigger audience than a double wide coffin with our logo.
Well, at least
plus, I think the overhead is a little bit lower on corn dog butt plugs.
So why is my garage full of double wide coffins? I just can't sell them.
I've got a joke, but I'm not gonna make it. So you know.
Oh man! All right.
Well,
it's been real. Yeah, it's been real. Let's stop before we destroy anything else.
So we have been the Noise Brigade. Make sure you are following us on Twitter and Facebook and send us some messages. You guys can do that. I've set it up. Nobody uses it, but it'd be cool if somebody did. So anyway, till next time, I've been Bobby. He's been Tom. You've been Bored. We have been the Noise Brigade. Have a great night.